Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in the show today, 389 scholarship students arrived at the Philippines Tiji chapter for their monthly seminar on self-development. We return to Seoul in South Korea to see how the government is making the city ever more eco-friendly by adding more green spaces. And in Taiwan, we meet a speech therapist, Zhang Jingwen, who helped those with speech impediments speak fluently. First up, in the Philippines, Tiji volunteers hold a seminar each month for its scholarship recipients. This time, Tiji volunteers invited 389 high school and university students to attend. Apart from sharing tips on time management, the volunteers also arranged for these students to experience the inconveniences of a handicapped person.
389 high school and university students gather here at the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter for their monthly seminar. Volunteers share with students tips on how to manage their time more productively.
We should all know how to seize every moment because time is invaluable. We should all observe more, listen more, and speak less. This way, we are able to utilize our time to do more meaningful things.
Everyone listens attentively and takes every word to heart. Since last month, Mary started to log her use of time every day.
As a student, I feel we should set goals for ourselves and know how to put our time to good use. Because we only have 24 hours a day, we should spend our time on more meaningful and more productive things.
Blindfolded, the students experience the inconveniences of a blind person. The volunteers hope that the students will cherish the preciousness of time and also brainstorm ideas for next month's charity sale, where they will be raising construction funds for a new ophthalmology center.
We were only blindfolded for a few minutes, and moving around became difficult. If I were to be blind long term, my life would be extremely inconvenient. Now I can relate to the struggles and difficulties of a blind person.
The students realize that their scholarship is not merely money that will support their studies, but understand that it comes from many blessings and much effort, something which drives and motivates these students to continue with their passion for learning.
The Double 10 Day is a public holiday in Taiwan, but city volunteers at the recycling station in Hualien still spend the day sorting recyclables. Among them was 72-year-old Lin Shuxian, who moved to Hualien from Hong Kong. Over the past 3 years, come rain or shine, the grandma is always the first to arrive at the station and the last to leave.
On this national holiday, these recycling volunteers choose to safeguard the planet by doing recycling.
If I stay at home, I have nothing to do. I don't want to waste time.
Among the volunteers sorting out recyclables is Lin Shuxian, who left Hong Kong for Taiwan. When she arrived, she immediately devoted herself to the work of recycling, and it has been 3 years since that day.
I really enjoy reading Master Zheng Yan's publications. Before I came to Tzu Chi, I read Tzu Chi monthly. The ideas inside are really useful.
Lin Shuxian used to be a teacher, and her motto in life is to take it upon oneself to do anything. Every plastic bag is a treasure in her eyes.
I believe one's determination should not change and one's moral cannot change.
72-year-old Lin Shuxian is always the earliest to arrive at the recycling station and the last one to leave. Steadfast in her determination to safeguard our planet, her persistence and willpower is an example for all.
We stay in Asia but move to Indonesia. Near the northeast coast of Jakarta sits an island that is only 4 hectares in size. Since 1985, Hussein and his wife have been living on this island and runs a small shop for a living. In 2008, Hussein's wife contracted cataracts, but Tzu Chi volunteers were there to help her get surgery. Now the couple collects recyclables on the island to show their appreciation for Tzu Chi's help.
The wind blowing, 86-year-old Hussein sweeps up the falling leaves. This is his daily job as he and his wife are the only inhabitants of Pulau Sipir in Indonesia.
Ceritanya kan ibu sakit
My
mata.
eyesight was blurry, so we took a boat across the way to go to the clinic. The doctor said I had cataract and I should go to a larger hospital to get checked. But my family does not have any money, so my cataract worsened to where I could barely see.
Pulau Pier is located off the northeast coast of Jakarta and is part of the Thousand Island chain. Hussein and his wife settled on the island in 1985 and were deemed by Jakarta's tourism office to be the sole inhabitants of the island. They make do by running a small shop entertaining tourists, but had no money to pay for cataract surgery.
Ya, jadi mesti segera kita bantu.
A fisherman told us about this case, so we came to the island to visit Hussein and his wife. We discovered that they were living in difficult conditions and his wife was suffering from severe cataracts. We then arranged for her to receive surgery at a free clinic.
Since 2008, every month volunteers visit the couple to look after them and to assist Kaida in visiting a free eye clinic. Over the past 4 years, everyone has come to see each other as family.
Orang segitu gede-gedenya.
It's so great to see you because there are still people on this earth who are well off that take time out to care for people like us. You are like my family. We feel very happy.
Ini bukan bantuan
I'm
lagi.
very grateful for Tzu Ji. You not only help me, but help my whole family. You are our lifesaver. I can only do little deeds to show my appreciation of all that you have done for us.
As guardians of Pulau Pier, Hussein treasures every resource and has continued to do his part in recycling at their shop in hopes of showing his appreciation to Tzu Ji.
In association with our series of feature reports on BRT systems, we return to South Korea to look at how the capital of Seoul is reinventing itself as a city for the people by adding more green spaces for the use of pedestrians and residents, while cutting down on car use with the promotion of efficient modes of public transportation. Seoul has shown that it is serious when it comes to reinventing itself as an eco-friendly urban landscape. As a microcosm of changes the city has undertaken, we take a look at the story of Seoul's Cheonggi-cheong Creek. Once a polluted drainage ditch, the creek is now once again a city landmark enjoyed by residents young and old.
Amid the great jungle of skyscrapers that is Seoul runs Cheonggi-cheong Creek, a silver of vibrant blue and green. However, things were different back in the day. The creek was a long dumping area for industrial waste and was mostly covered by an overpass that carried 190,000 vehicles a day. This is how the 80-year-old resident remembers this creek.
At the time, my age is 16. Cheonggi-cheong, very dirty place, so I didn't go there.
In 2003, then Mayor Lee Myung-bak initiated a cleanup of the Cheonggi-cheong Creek. After 3 years, the bridge that traversed it was dismantled, and the original 5.8-kilometer creek was returned to its natural state.
Fresh air and clean water, and you can see a big fish.
The improvements to Cheonggi-cheong Creek was just part of the overall transformation of Seoul. It wasn't only this 5.8 kilometers creek that was turned into green corridor, but all of Seoul began to change for the better, and that included an emphasis on improving public transportation, sidewalks, bicycle paths, bus transfer stations, MRT shuttle buses.
捷运接驳整体做了一个改善。
Back in Taiwan, a stone tablet erected on the campus of the NTU marks one of the historical landmarks of Taipei. The Liugong Canal was originally an irrigation channel, but as Taipei developed, it became a drainage gutter. Government officials at one point considered dismantling the Xinshen Bridge that covered the canal, but worried about the impact on traffic, never carried out the plan.
There were over 4,000 protests against the changes to Changqicheng Creek. Most residents opposed the plan, especially those living nearby. The Seoul government held many meetings to try to alleviate concerns.
Once the bridge was gone, the roads along the stream became one-way single-lane streets. Although many were willing to give up the convenience of the bridge for the sake of the creek, the question was what to do about the traffic.
The Changqicheng Creek begins a lot of benefits, not only to the environment, but to the overall look of the city and the value of real estate. If you measure that against the loss of convenience of car drivers, it seems it was the right decision.
Transportation is a key consideration when redesigning a city. Here at the Seoul Plaza in front of the City Hall, this area used to be 5 lanes of snarled traffic, but now has become a favorite area for residents to relax. Of course, in the process of taking space away from cars and returning it to the residents, the city went through its growing pains. Seoul has made a firm decision that the city will center around the citizens and not their cars. As a successful model of how a city can become green, Seoul has some important lessons for Taipei, which has long restricted pedestrian use in favor of car-based transportation models.
After the 3.11 earthquake devastated Japan last year, many charity organizations arrived in the worst-hit areas to offer both emotional and financial support to the quake victims. Today we take a look at the story of Yuchita Katsuo, who has been providing freshly grown vegetables from his organic farm to quake survivors in the disaster area. Here's more.
Seeing Yuchita Katsuo, the senior living in the prefabricated housing in the Watari-cho, is all smiles. After the 3/11 earthquake, Mr. Yuchita, who is a farmer, has been providing freshly picked vegetables free of charge to needy quake survivors in the disaster areas.
When the disaster victims come to purchase the vegetables, I would tell them to bring more back and give it to those quake survivors in need.
I feel the pain and suffering they go through. I have been living in Japan for 18 years, so I consider myself as half Japanese. Seeing the disaster victims suffer, I feel the pain too.
In fact, Mr. and Mrs. Yuchita live in Zao, which is located an hour away from the disaster area. The couple says they finally have a chance to contribute their share to help those in need by providing free vegetables to the quake survivors. Mr. Yuchita says Tsuji volunteers have taught him how to respect others.
I saw the survivors helping the needy. When I joined Tsuji, I saw how Tsuji volunteers interacted with the disaster victims. I was touched by their gestures.
When we went back to Malaysia, we saw how the volunteers are helping the needy. My brothers are Tsuji volunteers too.
Every day, early in the morning, Mr. and Mrs. Yuchita will start working at their organic farm. To keep their farm running, the two have to do part-time jobs since the farm only runs half of the year. The couple doesn't earn much from growing vegetables. However, they still kindly provide the vegetable at half price or even free to disaster victims.
Knowing they are happy eating our vegetables, it is all worthwhile.
In England, Queen Elizabeth's father, King George VI, suffered from a speech defect that made him stutter. Luckily, with help from an Australian speech therapist, the king overcame his fear of speaking, and the moving story was later turned into the movie The King's Speech, starring Colin Firth. In Taiwan, there are many like King George who have speech impediments, whether caused by autism or hearing problems. And in our feature report on Taiwan's unique traits, we meet one speech therapist, Zhang Jingwen, to see how she is helping these patients with the same condition speak fluently.
I have received.
In the movie The King's Speech, actor Colin Firth portrays King George VI, who suffered from a speech impediment. With help from a speech therapist, the king finally overcomes his speech disorder.
Everything else.
In Taiwan, there are also speech therapists available to help those suffering from the same condition. Zhang Jingwen has been a speech therapist for the past 8 years.
陈佑贤，老师好。有没有说老师好？对，老师好。你们家有没有练习？有没有？有。有吗？好，我们坐着上课。嘴巴圆圆。
This little boy is Zhang's 8th patient of the day. He suffers from a hearing impairment and is dependent on a hearing aid. After a tracheostomy surgery, he can no longer speak properly like children of the same age.
Most importantly, we still hope to build a communication model and channel. And if they really can't improve in this area, we will try other models.
好，来，你嘴巴啊。好，来，一起来。
Every 3 to 6 months, Zhang will accompany the boy on his hospital visits to discuss with doctors the development of his speech. There are many people with speech impediments that need treatment just like this little boy.
We have cases of autism, Down syndrome, or even other disabilities. They all have speech developmental problems in which they seek help from speech therapists.
Like this morning, I started work at 8:30. And by 11:30, I went through 6 patients. The remaining time, I took a break and had to get started on reports on how the therapy went.
Mr. Liang, who has been fitted with an electronic hearing aid, is another one of Zhang's patients and one that needed a change in treatment methods.
Most people think that speech therapists only talks a little and teach patients pronunciation, but it's not that simple. Every lesson with our patients, we have to pay attention to his or her condition and their reaction, and adjust the goal or techniques accordingly.
Zhang Jingwen covers her mouth when speaking to test how much content her patient is able to take in. For adults with hearing impairments, even learning basic pinyin is no easy task. Thus, Zhang must be patient when teaching them.
你在电视台做什么工作？每天走路。再一次。
Some of our senior speech therapists are still very passionate about their job, and the reason is that they're able to guide their patients from not being able to speak at all to speaking fluently. That's their achievements and where they can help these patients. My child can now pronounce simple pinyin, and he's improving step by step. To be honest, if we hadn't come here, we wouldn't have known how to teach him.
I think probably only a talkative person would become a speech therapist.
Despite the heavy workload and the occasional job frustrations, Zhang Jingwen, like all other speech therapists, finds a sense of achievement when seeing her patients finally speak fluently. In Taiwan, Liu Yuejun, a kindergartner at the National Taichung Special Education School for the Visually Impaired, became fully blind due to a brain tumor. However, his condition does not stop him from playing piano and singing. Recently, he even won second place in a singing contest in his community. Let's take a look.
Playing on the piano with his little hands, this is 6-year-old Yuejun. In spite of his young age, he plays the piano just like a normal child. Yuejun suffers from blindness in both eyes and has been listening to karaoke with his grandfather since he was 3 years old. Soon he developed the habit of singing.
When he hears music, he will sing to me and ask me to find the music for him. He will remember the lyrics after he listens to it 2 to 3 times.
Although suffering from blindness, Liu loves to sing, and as long as an object makes a sound, he will make it into a musical instrument.
Liu Yuejun likes to hit things that make sounds, and he is good with carrying a tempo. We feel that he has a talent.
Knowing that Yuejun is talented in music, his teacher is putting effort in guiding him, hoping that he can find happiness and confidence in life through his music.
Next, we take a look at the life of leather artisan Cai Yichen. Since he was young, Cai has had to take care of his mother and 5 sisters, who all suffered from a genetic disease called spinal cerebellar ataxia, which causes increasing degradation of body control. Unfortunately, at the age of 28, the disease also struck Cai Yichen. However, he has not given up on life, but instead has learned the skills of leather carving to support himself.
For Cai Yichen, a simple hammering on the leather requires extra concentration because he suffers from spinocerebellar ataxia.
People may find my walk wobbly and it's like I'm drunk and unable to control myself, but actually to me, it's a feeling that the disease is depriving me of my ability to walk.
7 years have passed since the disease struck him at the age of 28, and Cai has gradually lost the ability to move his body. His sole income is from the sale of the leather carvings he designs. Although his life is hard, he still looks on the bright side.
If I'll recover in the future, it's fine that I live in pessimism now. But what if I don't get better? Why not live happily in the moment?
Cai realizes that his disease will only get worse, but he is still determined to lead his life in a positive frame of mind.
We go to United States at the end of our program and join Tzu Chi volunteers from the New York Tzu Chi chapter as they held a blood donation activity at YMCA. Meanwhile, team of medical staff also organized a health day at the local high school to provide medical consultation for those in need. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.